In the men's long jump, Dwight Phillips, the 2004 Olympic champion, did not make the team last year, but has come back with a vengeance. 28, 1.5, albeit a little bit windy. He wins the competition by a foot and is going to hook up with Irving Saladino, the Olympic champion.
So these are the critical factors in which must occur in order for the movement to be successful. The four primary ones is the speed at the board, the projection angle, the takeoff position of the hips and the takeoff position of the foot, as well as the running mechanics. So now with these critical factors in mind, we're going to now replay Dwight Phillips' long jump in slow motion. And you can notice here that he's accelerating at maximum capacity, so he is pushing all his force towards the long jump, which is going to create the most power to that. And then you'll also notice as he approaches the jump here, how his projection angle is roughly 45 degrees in order to enable him to have the longest horizontal distance. These are some of the flexible factors that can vary across the movements. Three of them is the movements in the air, the run distance, and the rate of acceleration. So now our beginner Brandon is demonstrating the long jump. And right off the bat we can notice a couple things within the major movements of weakness. The first one is the speed at the board was not maximum, therefore producing less force and not achieving the optimal distance. You also notice that his trajectory angle was not close to 45 degrees, thus again declining his linear distance achieved. Another one you'll notice is the takeoff position of the foot was not at the end of the board, therefore producing again the linear distance decreased. And also as he approaches the board here, you'll notice that he doesn't get quite as full as an extension as the expert does, leading to a chopping step effect. The last thing is his hip position is supposed to be behind his shoulders in order for the jumper to achieve maximum velocity for takeoff. So looking at the pictures side by side, we can see the beginner has more of an upright position, whereas the expert has more of in a power position. Secondly, we'll notice that the expert has more of a driving force, whereas the beginner is more of, again, in an upright stage. Above, you'll notice that the beginner's center of mass is directly over the foot, whereas the expert is behind his leading foot. As well as you'll notice on the bottom frame the difference in the jumping technique on where the expert has more of a backward arch, whereas the beginner has more of a forward arch. So now after observing some of the trial runs that we did with Brandon here, we can see a lot of critical and flexible factors that can be fixed during the long jump process. We're going to focus mainly on three primary movement weaknesses. One being the projection angle. So what I want Brandon to do is for him to focus on an object. In this case we're going to have him focus on a water bottle, and I'm going to set that water bottle at the very end of the sand pit, and all I want him to do is literally focus on jumping towards the water bottle. By using the water bottle as an external focus, we change the beginner's projection angle and make them jump further out, creating an optimal angle. Movement weakness that we're going to focus on today is going to be the speed at the board. So how fast Brandon's getting from point A to point B. Point B being the very end of the board here on where he needs to jump into the sand pit. What I'm going to have him do basically is literally focus on as if something's chasing him. So he will run as fast as possible. So the last movement weakness is going to be the takeoff at the board. My simple instructions for Brandon is going to be get off the board quick. By doing so, the beginner does not lose their current acceleration, thus optimizing their horizontal distance. So these are some drills in order for the beginner to improve his overall technique. The first one is going to be practice exploding out of the gate in order to increase your acceleration. The second is a one-legged squat to jump. This is another edition of that. This third drill is two-legged squat to jump, focusing on your landing, and this is one into the sand pit. And then the fourth one is knee highs, 3-block drill, in which is used for the main purpose of the runner to push his forward momentum as far as possible in order to hit the targets.
While coaching in person, some factors the coach should keep in mind is to make sure these verbal cues are short and concise so that there isn't an information overload for the beginner. This needs to be done because the beginner only has a certain capacity that they can hold in their working memory, and you do not want to overload them with too much information. You also want to keep these factors external. For example, using the object as a target will aid the beginner's mind into thinking they need to hit that point, because results have shown that learning is optimal when the person is not focusing on their own body movements.